Before your feet even hit the floor, the day can feel like a storm, worries crashing in, doubts whispering, and fear trying to steal your peace. But what if you could start every morning fully protected, calm, and confident, as if an invisible shield surrounds you? Most people search for peace in coffee, routines, or distractions, yet true protection and lasting calm come from something far greater: God's unshakable faithfulness. In this powerful morning prayer from Psalm 121, you'll discover how to turn fear into trust, chaos into peace, and uncertainty into unwavering confidence before the day even begins. Every challenge, big or small, becomes easier to face when you know someone greater is watching over you. Imagine walking through your day with a quiet strength that no stress or worry can shake. This isn't wishful thinking, it's a practical, spiritual reality you can tap into right now. And by the end of this prayer, you'll feel equipped, anchored, and ready to face the day under God's eternal protection. Psalm 121 opens with a bold reminder that our help doesn't come from fragile systems or temporary sources, but from the Lord Himself, the Maker of heaven and earth. The psalmist says, "He will not let your foot slip, He who watches over you will not slumber," Psalm 121 verse 3. That means divine protection is always active, even when we are asleep, distracted, or overwhelmed. Imagine how freeing it is to know that someone is covering your blind spots, guarding what you can't even see. This kind of reassurance builds a foundation of trust that nothing else can provide. It's almost impossible to think of a human who never grows tired, yet Scripture affirms that, "He who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep," Psalm 121 verse 4. This isn't just poetry, it's a reality. God's faithfulness is not seasonal, not on a timer, not selective. He doesn't abandon someone in the middle of their darkest hour. Just picture the comfort of walking into a storm at night with the certainty that the light is still shining above the clouds, even if your eyes can't yet see it. This truth challenges us to shift perspective. Instead of obsessing over everything that could go wrong, what if we pause to remember that the protector of all creation is already ahead of us? For example, a person commuting to work might worry about safety on the road, but Psalm 121 reassures that every step, every turn, is under His watch. Trust isn't a vague feeling, it's a choice to anchor ourselves in God's promises when the noise of life tries to shake us. And in doing so, our faithfulness to Him grows stronger too. The psalmist's words are more than ancient lines, they are a lifeline for today. Whether someone is dealing with fear of the unknown, anxiety about finances, or uncertainty in relationships, the unchanging presence of God declares, "The Lord is your keeper, the Lord is your shade at your right hand," Psalm 121 verse 5. This shade isn't weak cover, it's complete protection from what seeks to harm. And as the prayer unfolds, gratitude becomes the natural next step, because realizing He never sleeps awakens in us the desire to thank Him for every unseen rescue. When someone begins the day with gratitude, it shifts the entire atmosphere of the heart. A simple, "Thank you, Lord," in the morning is like opening the window to let fresh air flood the room. Psalm 121 reminds us that God is always watching, and that calls for gratitude, not just for the big, visible miracles but for the little things we take for granted. The air we breathe, the food on our table, the loved ones around us, all are gifts of His protection and faithfulness. Gratitude is more than words, it's a way of living. Think about how it changes perspective. Instead of focusing on what's missing, one begins to see what's already present. For example, keeping a small notebook by the bed and jotting down 3 things to be grateful for each morning can rewire the way a person sees life. This practice strengthens trust in God because it trains the heart to notice His hand even in quiet, hidden ways. There's also something humbling about realizing that God protects us even when we don't see it. How many times have we left the house without a clue of the dangers avoided on the road, or the illnesses we never caught, or the opportunities quietly opened? From the rising of the sun to its setting, the name of the Lord is to be praised. Psalm 113 verse 3. Gratitude becomes the lens through which we begin to interpret life, not as random chance, but as the overflow of His constant care. And as this prayer of thanks deepens, it builds a bridge towards something more, the longing to declare open trust in God's promises. Gratitude doesn't end in itself, it stirs up courage to lean further, to say, if you've cared for me this far, I can trust you in what's ahead. That's why the prayer naturally shifts into a declaration of refuge and strength, calling on the one who has already proven His faithfulness. Trust is not passive, it's active, a bold decision to lean on God's promises when the ground feels shaky. The prayer now rises to declare, Lord, You are my refuge, my shield, and my strength. This is not wishful thinking but anchored confidence, just as Psalm 46 verse 1 reminds us, God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. Faithfulness is proven in action, and each time a person chooses to trust instead of fear, it's like putting another stone into the foundation of their spiritual house. When anxiety strikes, trust becomes the lifeline. Imagine a storm outside while someone stays safe under a sturdy roof. The winds blow, the rain pours, but the protection above holds firm. That's how it feels when God covers His children. Instead of drowning in what-ifs, believers can hold to His word, the Lord is my strength and my shield, my heart trusts in Him, and He helps me. Psalm 28 verse 7. Real peace comes when trust outweighs fear. Practical steps help anchor this truth. For example, memorizing short verses about God's faithfulness and repeating them during moments of chaos can recenter the heart. A believer driving into a stressful day at work might whisper, "The Lord is my refuge," as often as needed until calm sets in. Writing promises on sticky notes and placing them around the home or workspace is another simple yet powerful way to invite constant reminders of His protection and trustworthiness. As the heart speaks these declarations, something powerful happens. Faith grows deeper roots. What once was only gratitude becomes bold confidence in God's character. The prayer moves from thanksgiving into warfare, not against people, but against fear, worry, and doubt. And this naturally opens the way to reflect on the great stories of the Bible, where God showed His unmatched power to intervene and protect, even in the most impossible situations. The prayer draws strength by remembering the mighty works of God throughout history. When Daniel was thrown into the lion's den, every law of nature said he should have been torn apart. Yet God's protection closed the mouths of lions and preserved him. Daniel 6 verse 22. That miracle is a living testimony that trust in the Lord is never wasted. His faithfulness doesn't waver when the odds are stacked against His people. Another striking example is the parting of the Red Sea. Imagine standing at the shore with water before you and an army behind you, no escape in sight. Yet God made a way where none existed, proving that His protection surpasses human logic. Exodus 14 verses 21 to 22. When believers today feel cornered, maybe by debts, illnesses, or broken relationships, they can trust the same God who parted seas to open paths in their own lives. These stories are not relics of the past, they are blueprints for today's faith. The same God who shielded Daniel and delivered Israel still promises, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper," Isaiah 54 verse 17. A person may face impossible deadlines at work, crushing financial burdens, or conflicts in their family, but his faithfulness assures them they're never fighting alone. By reflecting on these biblical accounts, believers fuel their confidence that divine protection is more than theory, it's reality. As these memories of Scripture settle into the heart, they spark a new desire, to ask God not only for dramatic rescues but also for daily safeguarding. The prayer shifts from recalling His mighty works to humbly petitioning for protection, both from visible dangers and the subtle spiritual traps that creep in unnoticed. The prayer now becomes a heartfelt petition, asking God to guard not only the body but also the soul. Protection isn't just about avoiding accidents or illnesses, it's also about standing firm against doubt, deception, and sin. The Lord will keep you from all harm, He will watch over your life, Psalm 121 verse 7. A believer can experience true security when they remember that God's shield covers every dimension of life. It's practical to pair prayer with vigilance. For example, someone may lock their doors and wear a seatbelt, but the deeper spiritual safeguards come through daily connection with God. Reading Scripture, meditating on promises, and walking away from tempting situations are ways to invite divine protection into everyday life. Faithfulness isn't passive, it's an active, ongoing choice to align thoughts, actions, and intentions with God's guidance. Spiritual dangers can be subtle, false teachings, lies disguised as truths, and internal battles with discouragement or envy. That's why the prayer asks for discernment and strength, saying, in effect, Lord, protect me from what I cannot always see. Trusting God here means believing that even unseen forces are under His command. Romans 8 verses 38 to 39 reminds us that nothing in life, or beyond, can separate us from His love and faithfulness. As these petitions rise, the heart naturally turns toward peace, seeking calm in the midst of life's storms. When believers feel weary, anxious, or overwhelmed, the next part of the prayer flows seamlessly, asking God to steady the inner waters, guide the path ahead, and sustain trust when burdens seem too heavy. Life's storms often feel relentless: stress at work, family struggles, health concerns, but the prayer turns the heart toward serenity. God's peace is not just calm feelings, it's a steadfast assurance that He holds the steering wheel even when chaos surrounds. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives, John 14 verse 27. Trusting in His protection allows believers to breathe, even in the whirlwind. The prayer invites active surrender. For example, a person facing anxiety can take a moment to pause, close their eyes, and verbally hand over worries to God, saying, Lord, I trust you to guide me. Even small actions like journaling fears or creating a quiet morning ritual can open space for His faithfulness to settle into the heart. It's about aligning inner focus with divine promises, not just wishful thinking. Scripture repeatedly reminds us that guidance and calm are gifts of God's presence. Proverbs 3 verses 5 to 6 instructs, Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding, in all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight. These verses are not abstract, they become tools for navigating daily challenges, whether it's making a tough decision, dealing with conflict, or managing unexpected setbacks. Protection and faithfulness work hand in hand with peace. As the heart receives this peace, it naturally prepares for the next step of the prayer, resting fully in God's care. Calm moments open the door to deeper trust, allowing believers to embrace His faithfulness, knowing that their journey is guided, their steps are watched, and their lives are securely held, from this day forward and forevermore. The prayer culminates in a heartfelt declaration: God's faithfulness is unwavering, and His care is eternal. The Lord is faithful, and He will strengthen you and protect you from the evil one. 2 Thessalonians 3 verse 3. Resting in this assurance allows the believer to release the weight of constant worry, knowing that protection, trust, and faithfulness are not fleeting, they are forever. It's a choice to surrender, not out of weakness, but from confidence in His promises. This trust transforms daily life. When challenges arise, whether career setbacks, relational conflicts, or personal doubts, the believer can pause and say, I rest in you, Lord, knowing you are my shield. Faithfulness here is not abstract, it manifests in the courage to move forward with hope and confidence, even when outcomes are uncertain. Protection is present even when the path is invisible. Practical acts reinforce this rest: praying consistently, meditating on Scripture, and journaling reflections of God's faithfulness create tangible anchors in everyday life. For example, keeping a verse like Psalm 121 verse 8 close, "The Lord will watch over your coming and going both now and forevermore," can be a daily reminder of His steadfast care. Small habits like these deepen trust and make divine peace a lived experience, not just a concept. Finally, this moment of surrender loops back to gratitude and confidence, completing the circle. As the believer rests fully in God's care, the heart is both strengthened and softened by protection, softened by faithfulness, and fully anchored in trust. This is the rhythm of the prayer, from awareness, to gratitude, to trust, to biblical reflection, to petition, to peace, and finally, to rest in God's eternal care. As you carry this prayer into your daily life, remember, protection, trust, and faithfulness aren't just words, they are your reality when you lean on God. How often do we try to face storms alone, only to discover peace was available the whole time? Ask yourself, am I trusting God fully, or holding back in fear? Are you willing to let His shield cover every step, every decision, every moment of doubt? Take what you've learned today and make it practical. Start your mornings with this prayer, journal the ways you notice His protection, and speak His promises over your life. Watch how your perspective shifts when you consistently lean on His faithfulness instead of your own strength. How might your relationships, work, or health transform if you surrendered your anxieties to Him every day? I want you to experience the full power of Psalm 121, so don't just watch, engage. Reflect, pray, and act. Let this prayer become the rhythm of your mornings, the anchor in your chaos, and the reminder that God's trustworthiness never fails. If this message resonated with you, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a moment to grow in trust, embrace His protection, and walk daily in His peace. Share your thoughts, experiences, or breakthroughs in the comments. Let's build a community anchored in faithfulness together.